Hello, Cedric, and welcome to the summit.
Hey, Danko, and hello, everybody. So thank you, Danko, for giving me the opportunity to talk to the Prospecting Summit. Really looking forward to it, and I hope that it's an interesting presentation. So I'm going to share my screen now.
Sure.
So we're going to talk. So I've seen there was lots of tools and explanation on what are good ways to prospect. My presentation will talk about slightly different things. So first of all, enterprise prospecting has changed a lot. Post-COVID prospecting has changed a lot, not just because there was something like COVID, but actually it accelerated a whole number of things that were already happening. And let me start by saying, first of all, so maybe not everybody here is used to prospecting into enterprise. So a couple of years ago, I was I was introduced to somebody from one of the biggest financial institutions in Europe, and the person was a transversal lead. So it means that that person consolidated all the different projects that the different departments had, the different countries had, and then it was his role to see if they could consolidate it and optimize the projects so that they could basically, when they implement one project, that they could have benefits all over the entities. So the guy literally opened his binder and there were hundreds of projects in there. And he said, listen, if you can help me with any of those, let's find a way to collaborate. So for me, the big message is there, if and when you do enterprise prospecting, first of all, those people are human. Secondly, they have a ton of projects. And for example, it's not because your competition isn't there that there is no more opportunity there. And they are actively looking for help. So in that sense, don't just block yourself of going to enterprise. There's huge opportunity there. And we're going to share with you today on what and how to approach this. So if you look at post-COVID enterprise prospecting, so I don't think I'm stating the obvious in the economy. So we have the inflation, rising costs, supply chain that is disrupted during COVID. It's still not being 100% under control. As a result of this, a lot of more companies are working on profitability and margins. So it means that there are fewer projects. There is simply not enough time to have a number of projects running next to each other. Having multiple projects team working on different projects. So every project that the company is launching should be profitable, should be within the scope and the goals of your organization. So in that sense, the market in enterprise is already smaller. At the same time, this is mainly due to COVID. There are fewer people available. So in my experience, there are quite some people still burnt out. People are not used to working hybrid. They are working hybrid, so it's harder to get in contact them. And then another thing that is happening, and also COVID has accelerated this, is the automation. So we have just been talking about automated tools, automated outreaches. And LinkedIn and email is being, I heard the word spam bombed. So in that sense, even if you have a good proposition, the fact that you're one of the tens of people that are contacting a certain person will lead to a lower reaction. So when we go further into this, there are also good sides, of course, on it. So these are 90% of the countries I have been prospecting and I have been working with my clients. So something that would not have been possible pre-COVID, because in most of these countries, you would need local teams. So maybe the prospecting can be done remotely, but then you need local teams to engage. And we see that this has accelerated in a way. So there are much more business available now online rather than having that offline aspect as well. So this is the other side, and this is something that we all can benefit from. So for us, companies, suppliers, the market has become bigger, which also means we have more competitors. So there's always an advantage and another side of the coin, of course. Now, what I would like to see after the presentation, that first of all, you have a nice overview of what is enterprise prospecting. how to start with enterprise prospecting, and I think it's going to be very useful for you when you will move up market. So when you have been doing mid-market prospecting and want to start enterprise prospecting, or have just started into that prospecting market. So what we're going to talk about, and of all these topics, there have been entire libraries written. So I will not be able to go too deep into each of these topics. At the same time, I would like to speak with about all three of them, simply because enterprise prospecting is more than just, okay, I'm going to send a mail. I'm going to send a mail to 1 million people, and that's it. So there is quite some other steps to be taken. So we talk about the segmenting. We talk about the difference between, okay, when do I engage? When I have a use case or when I have a trigger event. And we'll also talk about the multi-layered messaging, because this is very important when you will start reaching out. What type of messaging will I give and why? But yeah, who am I? Why should you listen to me about this? So I'm a kind of veteran. So I've seen a couple of more people with the high blonde hair, I'm going to call it. So started selling in the previous century in the previous century, yes. Sold across EMEA, sold for $700 million as an individual contributor, as a sales leader, and now as a sales consultant. And I both worked in corporate environments like NVIDIA, Indeed, Veritas, as well as in the scale-ups as a consultant, and I also have startup experience. So I managed to grow businesses times 10, up to times 100 in tech. So I've done SaaS businesses, AI, security, infrastructure, and so forth. So I have quite a broad view on working in this, both in acquisition, mid-market, as well as acquisition, enterprise. So I have quite a bit the luggage. I've made all the possible mistakes that you can imagine. Fortunately, I have learned from most of them. So this is why I would like to share my knowledge in this. So right now I help startups and scale-ups into increasing their momentum, their growth momentum. So when we talk about enterprise prospecting, it is basically a completely different ball game than mid-market prospecting. And on the one hand, if you look, for example, the tech market in Europe and in the US, where you have about 1 million companies. So if you would be a legion organization selling to tech companies across Europe and America and US, you can go pretty wide and you can start automating, go wide in the messaging. At the same time, I would still suggest to focus, to make your message a bit focused. In any case, the amount of companies is much bigger. If you look at enterprise market, I know companies that they currently have 20 potential targets in Europe. And that's not per SDR or per sales rep. That is just for the entire company. They have 20 potential targets. So again, on the number point of view, on the approaching, it's going to be a completely different ball game. So if you say in general, then for enterprise sales, you can say 120, 100 to maximum 500 potential targets within your territory. That would be considered as enterprise sales. For me, this is an extremely important slide because rather than, okay, we need to start prospecting, we need to also put things in context, because it all has to do with having a revenue strategy, understanding the goals, what do we want to achieve, and then the action is the actual enterprise. At the same time, you have your own context. If you're a mid-market product or aimed at marketing or aimed at business or finance or compliance, you have a different context than the other examples I named. At the same time, sales is a system. So you have an operating system running around this. And the way you go to market, your GTM motion will be different depending on the type of organization you have, the segment you're selling into, and so forth. And so we can go much deeper into this later. And also, when you look at your revenue operating model, this is showing how you go to the market, because it's not just a sales job. It's also a marketing job. It's an SDR job. It's a pre-sales job. So you have a lot of different people that will be involved into the prospecting. And then with existing clients, you also have customer success that will spot potential opportunities. So rather than just going to the operational side, it is important that you put this into your context and that you say, okay, listen, for example, what you have picked up today in all the sessions, this is something that we could use within our context and implement, create a system around it, and then collaborate with our entire team into becoming successful in this. And this will lead to far better outcomes than when you just go wild by, okay, we have a tool, we're going to start using it, and that's it. So when we talk about lead generation, you see a lot of posts on lead generation, and 77% of the companies that I speak with, they initially start with, hey, we need more leads. In enterprise sales, well, first of all, I don't necessarily agree that's the right question. At the same time, in enterprise sales, it is definitely not the right question, because you know already your target group, you know your top 20, top 100, the top 500 clients you're going after. Maybe it is, we need better leads, and then also better leads. What is then better? Because in enterprise, what you really are looking for, is going deep into the customers, so that you have a high conversion rate. Rather, if you have somebody who is going after a large market, we have a 1% conversion rate, maybe that is enough to let their business running. But in enterprise, you really need to go all in within your segments, and then make sure you have a high conversion rate, because based on the messaging and so forth that you will be built up. At the same time, in enterprise, you're looking for that positive net recurrent revenue rate, and then upsells will be very significant. So this is key, rather than the question, we need more leads. It's already, okay, we need better leads, or how can we approach our leads that they have a high conversion rate? And then we come to how will we do it? Because where will we focus on first? And I have a method which is called the bullseye method, and which is basically needs how will we reach out to our market? So there are a couple of reasons how you reach out to in the enterprise market. So first of all, for example, you're a startup, you have a specific use case, you know exactly what is your type of ideal client. Secondly, you might be so big that you're too big to sell into mid-market, because you will completely transform the organization, you will outsource entire department, and so forth. And at the same time, you want to segment your targets on who to target first. And then we talk about making a long list and a short list. And what I mean with this, because I'm sure one of the questions will be, can we automate it, yes or no? My short answer is no. There is a but. So first of all, we will create a short list, which will be the low-hanging fruit that we can build a case up almost straight away. And a long list, because you have a limited amount of bandwidth, will be the type of customers that are also very relevant to your business, but for several reasons you cannot target them right now, whether it's for geographic reasons, maybe the company size is not big enough, or maybe the target territory you have, they have a small headquarter then with some other centers outside of the other territories. There are different reasons. And then you can make a long list that you will start a nurturing strategy with to create that demand. And that's when, of course, that collaboration between marketing and sales will be so important. So the main questions that you will ask then is, when you have identified your target list, is how can you enter as a company? How can you build up a relationship? And when can we enter, and why should they buy now? So when you look at how can we enter, we're going to talk in a couple of slides about the multi-layer messaging. But then how can we build up the relationship? What my experience is, when people moving from mid-market into enterprise market, they want to go fast, and going fast is good. Want to close fast, and it's not so good into enterprise. And why is this? Because there's so many different stakeholders, and if you start to pitch and want to close and start to go to that action, then this will create some resistance. So it really is by building a relationship. At the same time, it is not because I've seen that as well, right? Oh, that people say we need to first build a relationship, that you cannot start selling from day one, because we are in sales, we are in building a business. When you build a relationship, you can immediately show your worth, your value, and we go deeper into this in a couple of slides. And also, when we can enter, when we talk about a short list and a long list, then when can we enter? It will strongly depend on the awareness of that target. At the same time, we can create awareness in enterprise. That's also expected from our role. And then why should they buy now? This is currently also very important. As I said in the beginning of the presentation, there are fewer projects in the market. Why should they buy now? It means what priorities they currently have that we can attach ourselves into. So when we talk briefly about that, the bullseye strategy, then when you look at the middle circle, the bullseye, this is not sector specific. It depends on some companies will go sector specific. They go to the horizontal in all the HR departments, all the legal departments, all the compliance departments. So you can make it as narrow as wide as you want yourself. Again, based on your bandwidth. And then the circles outside of this are then related to things I said earlier about not right now being relevant with regards to location, maybe not the ideal size. If you segment based on sector, maybe not the exact sector, and so forth. And then you will use, I'm going to call those tricks, but they're entire strategies around account-based selling, account-based marketing, and so forth. By the way, that bullseye is also dynamic, so it won't be static. And this will depend based on the use cases and maybe trigger events that will pop up. So when we talk about reasons to engage with somebody, do we engage through use cases? Will we build up a business case, which are two different things, or will we engage when we see a trigger event? And also there, it's an or. At the same time, you will always build up a case. And why is this? In enterprise sales, you need to know why you engage with somebody. At every step, you need to be able to add value. And for this, you will have the use cases. You will have testimonials, you will have the insights, and you have the returns from your side. And so, based on your technology, based on if you're not yet, if you're a startup, it will be based on simulations you have done, based on first testimonials from your test clients and so forth. When you're a bit in a more scaling up stage, then you definitely have already testimonials, you definitely have some momentum build up, you definitely have returns based on the previous implementations and collaboration you have with your clients. So in that sense, it makes it easier for you to enter then within enterprise clients. Important is you have your part of the information, and also the information from the prospect side, because you need to find the hooks, the entrance, why people should listen to you, why people should take into account what you're telling them. So a big part will be done before you engage in the research, to identify who's who. You'll start mapping who is who in your organization. You will look at annual reports if it's listed companies, or when it's public companies, you look at the websites. You look into LinkedIn, which has been named already a lot today. You will find articles and so forth to build up your case. So this also means, as if there's such thing as an enterprise SDR, and there is, but there are also a lot of full cycle AEs and account managers, that analytics is hugely important in your role. Research is important before you start to engage. If you look at mid-market, when really it's best practice to spend maximum 5 minutes in your research to personalize it, to make it to the context of your prospect. Because when you're in mid-market, you will more work with solution selling. You know what you're solving. In enterprise sales, you often have consultative selling. So it means that you need a lot more research to find out who's who, what are they engaging with, or are they working with the competitors already. So you need to be prepared to build that first motion. And then when we look at the prospecting aspect, when we are building up the case, there, in my opinion, there are 3 types of cases that you will build up. And the green ones, case 1 and case 2, are for me part of prospecting. And then from case 2 to the business case, then this you're already working as a project, as an opportunity, as a deal. So in the first case, you will, based on your research, you will work with assumptions. And then we look at certain qualification methodologies like MEDDIC, which is also an iterative qualification methodology. It is iteration. You will start with assumptions based on your research, based on your knowledge. And by talking to the different stakeholders within your enterprise prospect, I was going to say client, with your enterprise prospect, that those assumptions will get a confirmation or will be shifted. And this will help you building then an initial scope when you go to the case 2, when you have identified your real champion or your real champions with the S, and so that you can then create a business case that you will move forward to that scale. Listen, this is the project we go with, this is the scope, and on this we will build a proposal. But in any case, you need to come with something more than just a brief message. Maybe as an initial outreach, yes, a brief message. At the same time, any step should already deliver some value. So when we talk about the other side, then we work with trigger events, and trigger events are very simple. If this happens, then that is the action that we will do. And there are a couple of examples, and we won't go too deep into this right now. So in general, announcements or very good trigger events can be from announcing a new plant, hiring new people, implementing a new technology. For example, if people implement HubSpot, then this could be a very good trigger event to say, listen, we have a tool that integrates with HubSpot for this and this and this reason. Okay, this is not a trigger event if you are a CRM, for example. All right, so one announcement is a trigger event for one organization, but not for the other. Another thing, an RFP, which you see often in enterprise sales, is not a trigger event, simply because of the reason that you're too late then. Because in RFP, there have been a lot of conversations going on prior to the publication of the RFP. I'm now engaged in a couple, and often 9 months upfront, or sometimes even a year upfront, the conversations are going on from also a long list of potential vendors. What is technologies they should be using? What do they should be taking care about? And only at the end of this, they will publish an RFP. So in that sense, it is not a trigger event. Now, we come almost to the end of the presentation. So we have segmented, we have our case 1, we have an information. We spoke about the champion, but we have not yet reached out to a definite champion. And what we often see is that there is one-size-fits-all message is being sent to when people reach out. But at the same time, on the one hand, you'll make an impact on the business. At the same time, you need to take a look at the impact on who. So when you do it well, you will then further work on the value. If you don't do it well, you will do it on the pricing. Because first of all, and I'm rushing now through the final slides, your user is not always your client. So as said before in the preparation, map your client, and there are different elements. So what is important is to know that you won't speak with one person. Everything is decided in committee. And here you see a small table of what people are looking for. So when you reach out, when you build up your case, make sure that you have these different elements, because they will share these messages to the people that are involved. Maybe one last question. If you enter high or low to a client, I'm going to say 2 questions very quickly. So best practice is to enter high, although you can enter low to get information. When you enter low with the company, when you talk to operators, the goal is not to start pitching. The goal is to gain information. Because the risk is always the goal is always to be first, because the risk is that if you don't go high first, that your competition is first. So when you are first, then also be first to the unique insight, and because very often your competition will be there in one or another way already. So I'm rushing through it, so be sure to be a subject matter expert, and well, you can all read as well, and then that's it. If there are questions, happy to answer them, and thank you, Danko.
Perfect. Well, we have 3 questions actually, and you have 3 minutes. So far the schedule is really perfect, man. So Cedric, first question came from Adil, which was on research. What are you looking for quantitatively and qualitatively? Do you have any database or tools that you would recommend to streamline your process?
Yeah, so first of all, I would look at the annual reports or on the website, so to understand if the vision and the initiatives, if you can find a hook. For example, I was working with a client. They were saying that collaboration with our employees was extremely important, and I was working with a tool with a platform that was actually very closely aligned with this. So we made our key topic around this, talking around collaboration with the people, employee retention, and so forth. So on research, that's on manual thing. There are tools to have annual reports, to find annual reports online. But in general, that's a part that should be done manually. Yeah. And on LinkedIn, you can start mapping then clients through Navigator and so forth.
Got it. So that was one question. I had two. How longer is the enterprise sales process compared to the SME sales process?
Yeah, so let me say mid-market is 6 weeks to 3 months, and enterprise sales, there is a jump going from 3 to 9 to up to 15 months. And it depends if you have an RFP or not. Yeah. So it can be really, and that's a good one. If you have an enterprise pricing, let me say 20K, and you try to sell an enterprise, and you suddenly 20K per client, and it takes a 6-month sales cycle, then you have a mismatch between your offering versus the value of your product. So that's something that you should take a look into as well then.
I see. Got it. Thanks, Cedric. And one more question, I can see it here, is how many meetings / touch points can we expect when selling to enterprise companies?
Yeah, I heard easily 9, easily 11. It really depends. And 9, 11, and let me say 5, 6 before you understand if it's a real project or not. So in your prospecting stage, I would say 5 to 6. And that's not the touch points. This is really the conversations.
So meetings, actually.
Yeah, exactly. And it all has to do with awareness. If it's, can you, because you identify scope, can you work together? Is it a priority? Will we work with it? Will we work with each other? Yes or no? So that's not, you will start, of course, offering. If you look at the challenger sale, you start to teach and tailor and maintain control, but that's not really yet the sale in that aspect. Yeah.
Got it. Cedric, those were the questions that were open that I can go on. It was really nice listening to you. I mean, enterprise sales is always a headache, and I really love the insights that you've shared.
Thank you.